Hello YouTube, another quick one from me today. So as a CrossFitter, this is probably why you're not getting anywhere with your lower back pain. So we're going to briefly run through why this is an issue and then what I do with clients to fix this very simply. So to start off with, some basic foundations on movement, nothing too complex. In CrossFit, we typically stay in one plane of movement, which is the sagittal plane. To simplify this, all the movements are up and down, 99% of them. So your squat, your deadlift, all your gymnastics, your conditioning. Think about all of them. You're not moving side to side with any of them, and you're not rotating with any of them, okay? So in CrossFit, up and down pretty much all the time. Whereas when you were younger, in school, in PE, where you played a lot of different types of sports, we're probably in the frontal plane as well and the transverse plane. So you've got the sagittal, the frontal, and the transverse. Again, to simplify it, the other two planes are typically lateral movements, i.e. side to side, and movements where we rotate, either rotating through the torso, so we're twisting up here, or we're rotating at the hips. Okay? For example, when you're playing rugby, you're playing football, and you're changing direction, you're getting some rotation, you might be moving laterally in like American football where you're shuffling side to side. Generally in sports and in a lot of day-to-day movements, we are using all three planes. So we're going up and down, but we're also going side to side and then rotating. I mean, I don't really know how you're going to, rotating or chopping. So, it could either be like, imagine shoulder, hip down here, we're going across. We've got all these different things going on from a movement perspective, yeah. Instead of just squat and deadlift, thrusters, whatever, going up and down. So, if in a sport we're only training essentially one plane of movement, we're going to get issues, particularly with lower back pain. If you're only used to training in one plane of movement and you're missing out on the other two, from what the body is designed to do, you can see why there might be some issues there. I'll give you a quick scenario. So imagine we've got two people going to a CrossFit comp and they're doing Isabel, which is 30 snatches for time. Ignore the weight. Person one, this is person one, and this is person two. So, person one, they just do 4 CrossFit classes a week, okay? Or slash CrossFit coaching with a one-to-one coach, whatever. But it's just purely CrossFit, okay? Ignore my terrible writing with this. Then number 2, let's say they do a bit of CrossFit. So let's say they do let's just say 2 pure CrossFit sessions a week, and then alongside that they do either gym work or they play some other sports. So let's say they play a bit of football, and then they also they train different planes of movement in the gym. So they do some med ball work, and they do some chops, and they also do some lateral work. So some lateral lunges, some curtsy lunges, etc., etc. Okay. So we've got 1, we've got 2. Move that there, and both of these are going to do Isabel, which is 30 snatches for time. Who do you think is going to be more resilient to injury, especially under fatigue? If you're catching something slightly out of whack and you're not catching a snatch perfect, you catch it slightly twisted, you're slightly rotated, you haven't set your back properly. Who do you think out of 1 and 2 is going to be more resilient to injury? And also actually is going to be stronger in way more different positions, a lot more different positions. Sorry, that's terribly worded. It's definitely 2. Doesn't take a genius to work that one out, because number 1 has got 1 out of 3 in terms of movement, planes of movement, and not 1. And then number 2 has got 3 out of 3. So he trains, got more variety across his training week, or she, whoever it is. Yeah, so less variety, less, more. And so, number 1 this one up here, outside of that up and down movement pattern, is very, very weak. They're not strong rotating, they're not strong moving laterally, and it's no fault of theirs, simply because they don't train it. And you haven't got to do it all the time, but it's just having more variety within your training, okay? So it's really, really that simple. So if we break that down from a rehab point of view, very simply, it's not the only thing I do, but with lower back pain clients, we just introduce more variety. We don't just move up and down with deadlifts, squats, etc., etc. We do med ball work, chopping across the body. We do lateral work, reaching and lateral lunging, side to side, across the body. Yeah, chops in all different directions, standing side onto a wall, twisting through the upper body, twisting through the lower body. If I just draw a little figure here, instead of just this, we've got this. Now, again, this is quite simplified, but for the lower back and the whole body in general, this is way better for the body. You're going to access a lot more different types of movement, which is great for performance in general. You're going to be stronger in a larger range of positions. I'm just repeating myself here. It's just a better way to train if you're more all-rounded. Again, you might ask yourself, oh, well, Fred, how does doing med ball throws transfer to CrossFit if I'm rotating and stuff? It's the same argument with any other like strength and conditioning for any other sport. So like in rugby, how does the bench press or squat, how does the squat transfer to rugby? Well, it's not the specific movement. It's the fact that with a back squat, you're moving huge amounts of weight. You're getting very, very strong, which is then going to transfer over to the pitch when you're in scrums, faster sprint speeds, etc., etc. It's the same thing with rehab. If we can just train a greater variety here and include, a number of different things, instead of just moving up and down in this hinge pattern, there's going to be a terrible drawing, but yeah, in this hinge pattern, and if we can actually learn to twist and rotate instead of just doing up and down like this, if we're just doing up and down like this, the lower back just gets used to doing that. Whereas the lower back, and not just the lower back, body in general, it needs to do all these different things. Okay? So very simply at FCR, more training variety, which will help reduce your pain, get back to where you want to be in terms of getting back to classes or training pain free, but also it's going to improve your strength and your performance going forward in the future. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment down below if you found this useful, or if it was rubbish and you want something else, more detailed or less detailed, and just let me know. Again, this isn't going to magically solve your lower back pain, and it's not the key to everything, and it's not necessarily everyone's problem, but with the majority of CrossFitters I work with, this is a major issue. Okay?